It's live. You're on.
Okay. Well, welcome everyone. We're really excited. This morning has worked out really good because a lot of our people that are outside of the U.S. are able to join us, and that's really exciting. And I've heard from a couple of our sponsors that have never been able to join the Zambia night, and they're excited to join us today. So I'll just start right in. I'm going to just tell you a little bit about me in case there might be some hopefully new people join us. And I'm just always for my profession, I have always worked with plants. I'm a gardener and I love working at nurseries and running my own nursery. So first and foremost, I'm a gardener. And my husband has always been a high school teacher. So what I'm saying, we have always lived very modestly, and I would not be able to do this without hundreds and hundreds of people. And so I wanted to start off with a huge thank you. It's just amazing how I didn't know where this would go. And 25 years ago, when I started, we had maybe 5 sponsors, and I was really excited to have 5 sponsors. Now, I don't know, I hope some of you have got the program for the night, but Attilio is being really good. He's my secretary, and he set up this meeting for me, and I have put this together of to date. This is pretty impressive, guys. We've built 48 schools. Included in those are science labs and teachers' homes. We've provided over 9,000 scholarships, ranging from high school to university. We've created over 4,000 jobs, and that could be paying an elementary school teacher's salary. It could be giving a person a sewing machine, and helping them start their own business. So I'm showing you that even though we're called Zambia Scholarship Fund, we do a lot more than just give out scholarships. We have provided wells. We have a couple really dear sponsors that it's sort of like if you went to the poorest country you could think of and people were so desperate, what is the best way to help them? And some people believe that we should drill wells. And so we go, okay, let's drill wells. Some people believe we should have micro grants and we should give jobs to entrepreneurs. Okay, great. What I'm saying is all of these things we do, there's not one thing that's the most important thing we do. And we love giving bicycles to our teachers and to our students. They're living in the bush and it's really hard for them to get to town to pick up their salary. Many of them live so far away that they have to leave when it's dark and they have to ride their bike into town to pick up their salary. All on dirt roads. I really wish that you guys will all visit our website because the website is just so informative. We've done, what did I leave out? We've helped with cooking equipment at the high schools. We've given mattresses to the dormitories where the kids were laying on the ground. And we just try to give comfort and we try to help so that they can get their education and improve their lives. So that was my kind of a little quick intro of all kinds of things that we do if you're new. And also I wanted to say I can't do any of this without wonderful, wonderful help. And I have a special person that I want to introduce to you guys today. And this is my son, Jake.
Hey, everybody.
And Jake is my only son. I have 4 daughters, and everybody always says, well, what's going to happen to the scholarship fund when you can't run it anymore? And here's my man. So I wanted to introduce you all to Jake, and don't feel like the fund is just going to be lost if something should happen to me. We're going to keep running it as long as you guys just keep giving us your money, and as long as we can just keep on helping people in Zambia. That's our heart, and we're going to stick with it. And we're never going to give up unless you guys give up. So another thank you is all of these people. Maybe you don't really want to go back to the program, but I can send you these things if you want to ask, and we'll put them on our website. But as you can tell, that I have a board in the US, and here's my board members in the US. I have a board in Zambia. I could not do this without my board in Zambia. And a big, huge thank you goes to not only sponsors in the US, but wow, my people in Zambia. I have the top-notch people in Zambia that I work with. We have employees, only 3, but they are dynamite. And we are trying really hard to make sure that your money goes exactly to what you want it to go to. So all of these people that you see on this list are all volunteers. That's really important. A lot of charities, they have overhead and they pay my son here is not going to get paid. I don't get paid. We want 100% of your donation to go to the Zambians. And it makes us a little bit special. And I think that's a reason why we've been able to be successful for 25 years. A lot of charities have a big heart and they start out, but it's difficult for them to keep up. And if you look at the percentages, it's very high of charities that don't make it. So, wow, do I really need to thank all of these fantastic, wonderful people. And just a fun story. Another thing that happens, and I feel bad that I'm the only one that ever gets to see this happen. But I mean, Jake, you're going to start seeing this happen when you start getting to know the sponsors. He'll start getting to know sponsors. Just for really quick, something like this happens all the time, guys. I had this sweet lady. I only met her like 3 weeks ago. She approached and we talked on the phone. And it's a tender story. Her son was killed in an automobile accident. It was her only son. He was only 39. And he was married to a lovely Zambian girl. 39, they're young. She said, Peggy, I want to give a tribute to my son. What can I do? And I said, well, you could sponsor a teacher. You could sponsor a high school or a college student. I don't know how much money. Whenever somebody approaches me, I don't know how much money they have to spend. But bless her heart, she loved the idea of building a school and naming the school after her son. It's going to be a cute little school in the bush, and there are so many community schools out there where the teachers and the students meet under a grass roof, and they don't have a building that they can meet in. And when the rains come, the rain comes through the grass, and they get all wet, and they sit on the mud, and it's hard. This means so much, and this woman is willing to build a school, have it be her school, after her son, in her son's memory. And each year she's going to provide well, desk, teacher's house, all the things that her school needs. I'm just the person in the middle that just hooks up people with needs over there, people giving people over here. And it has been a blessing, such a blessing in my life. And Jake, you're going to find out it's such a blessing.
Yeah, and can I say something too real quick? I just wanted to also say a really huge thank you to all of you volunteers, because both here in the U.S., outside the U.S., and in Zambia, because another reason this fund has gone on so long is that this woman right here does so much work, and she carries a huge weight on her back, and everyone that helps volunteer takes that weight off and helps in indescribable big ways. But I just wanted to really say thank you, because I have seen how much you guys help, and I just want to say thanks for helping my mom.
It's so true, Jake. It's so true. Okay, speaking of wonderful people, can I just really quick, I know I'm taking too much time, but I started out with 3 little books, and it's really what got us where we are, because people will read my book and they'll call me and say, how can I help? And I want to give a big thank you to Kate Perky. I did not have Heart to Heart is my first book of how I met the people from Zambia and how I got involved in Zambia, my first trip to Zambia. Well, 25 years ago, printing was not like it is today, guys. I went into a printing press, and you had to make a big giant microfilm, and it was about seemed like it was 4 feet by 4 feet, this huge microfilm. And they put everything on this microfilm, and then they printed the book. Well, I didn't have, we had floppy disks back then. I didn't have my book in a Word document. So this sweet lady, when I decided I will now make my book available on my website, all you have to do is download it. You don't have to pay for the book. There's 3 of them. They're really special. Every age and every men have enjoyed reading my books even more than women. So these are books for everyone, and you should share them with your family because they really will help your children be appreciative of what they have. But they're now available online because Kate Perky typed my whole book. 400 pages. She typed the book and put it in a Microsoft Word and in a PDF, and you guys can now download it on the website. I'm so excited about that. Thank you, Kate. Okay, let us go on with, if you are kind of wondering and you're new, like, how can I help? Jake made this little 1-page flyer. And Attilio, if you could just show that real quick. This little 1-page flyer, it's something you can print up and you can put it in your library. You could hang it in your church. You could hang it, you can give it to your club. A gentleman is putting it in his golf, where the golf people meet. I don't know what that's called. I don't golf, but his golf people saw it, and they have approached me. So this is an easy way. You just print it and you hang it, and people contact us. So we are in need of more volunteers, and we do have a page on the website, which I have to thank AJ Roth and Haley Roth for doing our website. Amazing job these 2 do. And go to it. It gives you all kinds of ideas of how to help and how to be a volunteer. Speaking of volunteers, we're going to go to our first volunteer who went to Zambia this year. Audrey, take it away.
Hey, I am so happy I got to go to Zambia this year. I've been involved with Zambia Scholarship Fund for over 24 years, and it's just been awesome. Peggy, you're amazing, and I'm so glad to hear that there is a plan for moving forward, a handoff at some point, so that's great. The most important thing I want to say is that thank you to all the sponsors. The generous donations are making a huge difference. It was so awesome to see that. The people in Zambia were so grateful. We received some of the most deepest expressions of gratitude. Some of these pictures here show the tribe member, or the members, I can't even think, of the area. They played drums for us to perform. They gave speeches. They welcomed us into their schools and thanked us. There was so much gratitude. They danced for us. You can see the kids there dancing. They played instruments. Everywhere we went, they wanted to show us the deepest gratitude for anything that's been done to help them, even just for coming to know of their situation and to know what they deal with in their lives. So let's look at the next slide, and we'll see. It wasn't me that made this difference, but these are some of the things that they were grateful for. New toilets. Now, up in the left-hand corner, that looks like a very dirty toilet there that they have, but it is under construction. I wish we had had a clean toilet to take a picture of, but that is a brand new facility, and you can see the sinks. I'll show in a minute some of what it looked like before, or what facilities they had before. But we've given the wells. You can see the children just sit and watch the water being pumped. They're so grateful to have that access to clean water that they can use in their schools. In the bottom left, you can see the students at Kasama Boys. They had just received their uniforms. That is something that Zambia Scholarship Fund provides for the boarding schools, or no, for the day schools, actually. And the nice large classrooms with windows and fresh chalkboards and things that are provided. It was humbling to receive so many expressions of gratitude when it's not me that has provided that. And so my biggest desire is to express to everybody who's donated, they are so grateful, and I want you to receive that gratitude. Let's look at the next thing, and we'll see some of the most impactful differences I think we've made. The building of the dormitories. This picture in the left shows the dormitory being built at Musa. They have students that travel sometimes between 10 and 18 kilometers each way to school. They've had some tragedies where a student was killed while riding her bike. She was actually one who travels the farthest and was so excited to get to be able to live in that dormitory and have a safer way to attend school. And that was tragic to me. And we're also building a boys' dormitory for next year. Each dormitory will hold 100 students, 100 girls in one, 100 boys in another. They've also experienced dangerous situations. Sometimes they'll rent a home in a village. The students will, so that they can have a shorter distance to travel to school. And we heard some horrific stories about immoral people that harass these children. And we're so grateful that we have the opportunity to provide a safe place for them to be. The micro grants is another thing that I thought was very impactful. I have a picture there of a tailor that we helped provide funds that she was able to get an electric sewing machine, which she uses there outside her home. Her beautiful children are around watching her be proactive in her life to provide a living for their family. They have a farm. They have big dreams. Their house right now is on family property, and the husband really wants to buy their own land and have their own home. And they're working toward that together. And I just love that we're helping people to improve their own situations by what we're able to provide. Down in the left is a picture of the teachers that are writing their thank you letters. We had them all come in and meet with them. They all have unique stories about the challenges they face every day as they teach, and they're so grateful. If you can see in the very corner, there's a woman leaning over writing her letter, and she has a baby strapped to her back. You can see the two little red legs poking out from the little wrap where they hold their children on their back. She and her husband are both teachers, and they work to provide for their small family. And these teachers believe so much in education. If they were not receiving funds from Zambia Scholarship Fund, these teachers would likely be volunteer teachers, meaning they work for free. They teach with no pay. But Zambia Scholarship Fund is able to pick up several teachers and provide some income, and with the hope that they will someday be picked up by the government and given a job. So there's the picture of Savior. He is the youngest head teacher in Kasama District. He was sponsored as a high school student, then as a teacher college student, then as a teacher, and was hired by the government, and is now such an incredible head teacher. The feeling of the students in his school from his community was so positive and energizing. And the papers that he had around there in his office had such positive messages. I could just feel there was such a good vibe. He was very incredible to meet and see the impact that he's having. Okay, next slide. I gotta go faster. This is some of the conditions. I can't even imagine trying to educate or be educated in some of the conditions they have. Their bathroom situation, usually most schools have pit latrines that we visited and limited pit latrines. So different schools have different situations. One school with 350 students has one boys latrine and one girls latrine. The main picture on the left of the latrines there, the first two are actually too close to the school. The community built those, but they're only able to use the latter three because of the smell. They said they don't use the first two, but the latter three are far enough away from the school not to have the smell. The picture in the middle with the barrels of water and the hose coming through the window, they would use, so they have a sink there, but they only have, if I am correct on this picture, they only have about 30 minutes of active running water that day. And they're not sure when the water will go out or stop, but it does. And the toilet next to it is flushed by getting water in a bucket, and then they bucket flush it because their water is not actively running. On the bottom right, you can see that is what inside the pit latrine looks like. You stand over that hole and go. We are trying to provide ablution blocks, which is a restroom building, like we saw in the previous picture of the new facility. It's an ablution block, and that is something we hope for all schools eventually. In fact, the government said for every school we build, they will provide an ablution block. We will see how well that happens. I hope it does happen. Many people I talked to were nervous that there wouldn't be quick work, that it's slow for the government to do it. So it's wonderful when our donations can add to that. Some schools have a water tank like in the middle, and some do not. And some who do have a water tank, their power to draw water from the water tank is not always consistent. And in the bottom left, you can see a homemade bathhouse, which a latrine would be a little bit smaller than that. We visited with a teacher who had his students help build a pit latrine for him that was closer to his housing. All right, next slide. Some of the additional challenges they have are limited supplies. They have small classrooms, old classrooms, and look at this terrible floor in the bottom left. That was a cement floor that was put in at the wrong time. That is something that we can help fix, that we can go in and patch that up. This sweet teacher, she teaches second grade and walks all over on that floor, and some of those pits are very deep. So those are challenges that they face. Next slide. All right, and crowded classrooms. The wonderful thing is that the government has provided free education now for secondary students, for high school. But that means that now people who were unable to attend school can attend, which means the classrooms are filled to capacity. We visited so many full classrooms, and some of them were just students who stayed after to wait for us to come, but they were so excited for us to come visit. It was wonderful. So the crowded classrooms is something that, as we sponsor teachers, we can help with that, reducing the crowdedness of the schools. My friend Evans on the board that we met there, hey Evans, he teaches 80 to 100 students per class, and he teaches computer, and he has one laptop, his personal laptop that he uses to teach each student. His classes are not long enough to give each student 1 minute on that computer. They're trying to expand their technology use in Zambia, and that is something that I hope we can help provide computers to allow each student to learn. All right, next slide. So this is my favorite village, Kalundumia. We were able to go on the weekends to visit villages and go see those schools. And this school, you can see the broken roof. It came apart in a windstorm, and they have no choice but to continue using this building. It's a 1x2. They have 2 large classrooms. One is with this roof that they teach with. The government had said they would provide a new school, and you can see the picture of the foundation there that was started, but the government dropped them and did not continue. They are not going to finish that school. So the Debs, which is the district leader, Mr. James Chibuye, James Chibuye, he said that Kalundumia is one of his top 4 schools he would like us to provide a new school for. And they were so excited to say they will provide all the bricks. They have most of the bricks they need for their upfront already, and they are willing to do more. They're willing to do all the labor to build their school. The picture of the bricks is not the bricks we will use, but I apparently didn't take a picture of the bricks that they have done. But they make their bricks and they're willing to build it. They just need the funds for the rest of it. So hopefully we can do that for them. All right, next slide. They welcomed us. Every village we went to welcomed us with dancing and performing. And in Kalundumia, the students sang a song in Bemba and English. They took us around and showed us, you can see their pit latrines, the river from which they draw their water and need to boil it to make it safe for drinking and cooking and cleaning. They work hard in these villages to provide for themselves the needs that they have. They danced for us. They welcomed us. Let's look at the next slide. They invited Kate and I. Heather wasn't there for this one, but they invited Kate and I to be part of their making a meal. And for me, this was such a tender experience to be welcomed as the women of the village. We sat at the back of Nakazwe's home. We watched as they used the fire. We pounded. You can see Kate, they're pounding the ground nuts. And then they add hot soda water that they make by straining it through ashes. And they add it to the cowpeas that they've dried for days. And it makes this evisashi. And you can see I'm at the table there with the Chalubas, Tiezia and Elijah. And then Nakazwe is another teacher there. And that is her home that we're in. And they kept giving us all the credit for making the evisashi. Everyone needs to try the evisashi that Kate and Audrey made. And all we did was pound the ground nuts and add it. And it was so much fun. Tiezia got her children together, her students, and we played games and sang songs. The next morning, I got to help Nakazwe cut some sweet potatoes for our breakfast. We're just family now. It's so wonderful. Anyone who is offered the opportunity to go to Zambia, and you do have to pay your way, but if you get the chance, I would go. It is so wonderful to meet these people and become dear friends. All right, next slide. One of my most profound moments was the building handoff. The buildings that we had made, that Zambia Scholarship Fund had built, they had an official meeting where we handed those buildings off to the government. And this, we heard from both Debs. The one in the middle is the Kasama Debs, which is the District Education Board Secretary, I think is the correct meaning of that. But then this Miss Charity Sendapu was of the Mangwi district. She had her 2 secretaries come up and they bowed to us in a traditional Bemba thank you that is reserved for royalty. And I was moved to tears, as I am now. It was profound. They are so grateful for our help, these good and faithful people that need us. You can see at the bottom, this is our group, the Zambia board, along with us, the travelers that went to volunteer. And we're so grateful we got to be with them. And my last slide, I just want to encourage everybody to be a part of Zambia Scholarship Fund in any way that you can be. Donate, volunteer to go to Zambia if that's within your means. or connect with these students and schools. They are wonderful people that I have grown to love, and I'm so grateful for this experience. And that's all I have.
Hey everybody, I'm Kate Wood. I'm not going to give you a super long introduction, but I have been around the fund and with Peggy for a long time. I started when I was in like 3rd grade with my older sister and my mom, so it's just always been really close to my heart. I've always had a lot of love for it, and getting to go was a dream come true for me. But the biggest thing I want to talk about today is just how fun it is to go, and me and Edward, who you're going to hear from later, he's awesome. But we had a saying, we kept saying the whole trip, and we just say, kids are just kids. Like, it doesn't matter where you go, kids are kids, and teachers are teachers. And it was so fun to go, and we're halfway across the world, and like teachers are trying to get their kids to like stay in a straight line, and they keep like, hey, like scoot back. And the kids are too excited, so they keep like inching forward. And it was just so fun. This first slide, it just talks about the fun interactions, just playing with the kids. Again, kids are kids. In this picture, it was a Sunday morning, and we were just hanging out, talking to all the women as they made breakfast. And these 2 kids were throwing a like clump of dirt at a bottle, which is something me and my siblings have done. I can't tell you how many times, like try to knock it off so you can get the furthest. So I went and joined them, and then their mom went and got a soccer ball. And if we want to play the video at Tila, but it's just a different village, same thing, just playing soccer with the kids, just having so much fun. And just like I said, just kids are kids everywhere. Like, these kids are amazing. They're so cool. They're so fun. They're so sweet, but they're just kids, and they go through a lot, and they're resilient, and they love life, and they love playing, and they love it when they can make a fool out of the adults that came to play sports with them. It's their favorite thing ever. And I just think it's so important to remember that, like, everybody that we're helping, everybody that is part of the fun, like, also just kids. Like, they're all just kids. They're all just people just working hard and just trying to do whatever they can to make it. And anything we can give them helps. If we want to go to the next slide. This is another one that's just so fun. We kind of later in the trip, we were at Kasama Boys, which is a pretty big day school in the city of Kasama, one of the bigger cities in the northern province. And I taught, if we want to play the tall, skinny one, Attilo, I taught them how to play this game that me and my siblings have always played, where you stand in front of each other and you have to hit each other's hands and try to knock each other over. And we can go out of it. But it was so fun trying to get these boys, like, we explained it to them, and then they started playing, and they wouldn't like play super hard with me because they wanted to be really respectful. And then we looked towards the back of the room, and they were all playing with each other. And you should have seen how much fun and like how hard these kids were going. It was so fun. And then you see the picture up at the top, that's me. We went back to Kasama Boys to go and deliver some school supplies to them and uniforms. And we got there, and Eddie was like, hey, who's been practicing? Like, who can beat Kate? We need to beat Kate this time. And so this student came up, and he beat me, and the room went crazy. It was so fun. But it's just like, again, just these kids are just kids. They are so strong. They're so resilient, but they're kids, and they just are so fun. And just anything we can do to support them. I heard a saying a little bit ago that I love that says, talent is equally distributed, but opportunity isn't. And so I just think it's so important to look at these kids and realize, like, they have every right, and they are so talented, and they deserve every opportunity that we can help them have. If we want to play that last video. Yep. So this is, I don't know if we can have sound on it, but this is just Eddie leading him in a chant, and it's just so funny. It's just school spirit. Again, just kids will be kids. If you have a bunch of teenage boys at a school and you can get them super excited about almost anything, they're just going to go crazy, which is just so fun. But I just think it's so important that when we look at this, we just remember that these are just people also just trying to live their lives just like we are. And they just a lot of them are facing a lot more challenges than what I ever did to go to school. And so I kind of took my education for granted growing up. Like, I didn't always want to go to school. That wasn't my biggest thing, right? Because I could go to school and it wasn't a problem. I got picked up in a bus and I got there safely, and all those little things that we just don't think about that so many people go without. And then if we can go to the last slide, like I said, just that talent is equally distributed and opportunities not. And this is just a couple pictures of boards. I'm in college right now. I obviously the youngest volunteer, got out of high school the most recently. I guess Edward and Heather are teaching, so they're still kind of in school. But just so cool to go and see in the top board. They're learning about physics and the resistance on electrical circuits and stuff that I've been taught in class very recently that I just got tested on, right? And then on the lower one, they're talking about naming chemicals in chemistry and how you do that and the different rules. And just, it was just so interesting and cool for me to look at and see that, like, all the subjects are the same. They're not changing any of the material. It's all just the same. It's just on a whiteboard in a room without lighting, right? That you're just learning all the same stuff. You just are having to learn it in a different way and without all the advantages that I had. And I just want to repeat that the talent is equally distributed. These are awesome, smart kids. These are talented kids. These teachers are amazing. And it's just that they're talented, but a lot of the opportunities just don't look the same for us. And then that video is just a fun video I took of the kids when we were talking about what they were learning. Again, just super happy, just super fun kids, just so happy to get an education, so happy to learn, and just so ready to go on to what they're going to do next. And I just, if I could leave you with one thing, that would be it. That's the magic of the fun. That's the beauty of it, is that we're not just kind of throwing money and putting band-aids over problems. That the whole goal of the fund is to empower people and give people opportunities to help themselves, because people are more than capable of helping themselves. They just lack that opportunity. So that's just what I'd leave you with, is that just keep working, keep doing whatever you can do to just help provide opportunities for these people, because they're awesome, they're amazing, they're super talented, they're smart. They just need a little bit of resources for that opportunity. So that's just what I'll leave you with.
Hello, I'm Heather, and I have been pretty new to the Zambia Scholarship Fund charity, and I feel very fortunate to be a part of such a wonderful organization that does the most good for the most amount of people. A lot of charities have pretty sizable overheads. This charity really, like, all the donations, as much as possible, go directly to the people of Zambia. Now, I learned about the charity from Edward Kimber, whom you will hear from later. Edward Kimber is one of the dearest people in the world to me. So I'm going to refer to him as Eddie because he's my best friend. So I remember 2 summers ago, Eddie came back from his first trip to Zambia, and Eddie is a teacher like I am, and we've been teaching for decades. And he said, "Heather, this trip has been so transformative. It has renewed my faith in education." And he just told me story after story about how wonderful the people of Zambia are and how much they really do need our help and how grateful they are for our help. So this is a picture of Eddie and Friday, who is now one of the teachers that Zambia Scholarship Fund sponsors. And underneath the picture, you can see a Zambian proverb, "Onweo waba makutwi," life is in the ear. And what that means is that if you want to live a long, good life, then you need to listen. Listen to the counsel of others. And I really sort of heard what Eddie was telling me when he was relating his experience of Zambia. And it's not that it prolongs my life, but what does it mean to have a life? It means that it's a good, worthwhile life. And I decided to help out, and I'm so grateful for that opportunity. Next slide, please. So here are a few of the teachers that I met when I was there. So Mr. Shamba and Mr. Fraser were both students who were sponsored by Zambia Scholarship Fund. And they went on to get education training also through the support of Zambia Scholarship Fund, and now they're teachers. Now, both of these gentlemen are government teachers, but that's a long process. You can volunteer for years and not get paid. Zambia Scholarship Fund, well, it's not the same salary as a government salary. It's something, and something is always better than nothing. But what struck me about these two gentlemen is just their passion. You know, you can meet people and there's just a light around certain people, and passion and goodness and purity in their voices. And their stories were so impactful because I knew in speaking with them how passionate they are about the work that they do with kids and how they provide their students with hope that even in a country with around 90% unemployment and a lot of infrastructure problems, if you work hard, you will be blessed. There are opportunities and pathways, and there's people in the world who genuinely care and are willing to help. So I just wanted to highlight these two educators because I know that the work that they do is inspiring generations of students. And that work wouldn't be possible without the support of the sponsors for Zambia Scholarship Fund. I can't put it into words how impactful your donations are. There's no way anybody could understand outside of going to Zambia themselves and meeting the Zambians, because the level of sincerity, authenticity, and gratitude, and this idea that if people help me, I'm going to help people. When I'm in a position to help, I will pay it forward as much as I can. And in this way, I think that Zambians, especially the ones that we sponsor, that we help, they know how to maximize blessings. You're not just helping one person. If you sponsor one person, you're helping an untold amount of people, because the gratitude is. Next slide, please. Okay, this is Mr. Mubanga, and he is one of the teachers that we sponsor. And it was such a pleasure to meet him. Again, I can't explain how wonderful the teachers we met are. You just have to be in their presence to really know the level of purpose that they approach their lives with, how meaningful their work is. And they, you know, by and large, the teachers would say, I was helped. I'm going to inspire and help as many children that I can. And I loved meeting Mr. Mumanga because we were on our way to a village, and we went and met him on a Saturday. And maybe this doesn't sound like a big deal, but after a long week of teaching, he waited for us. Instead of going, because his wife lives in another village. They live separately because the living accommodations, teacher accommodations, are pretty small. They're very humble. But he waited for us and chose to meet us and spend time with us, give us a tour of his school, his accommodations, and tell us how grateful. That was the first thing that he told us, is how grateful he is for the support of Zambia Scholarship Fund. And in his very humble accommodations, this is on the wall: the Lord uses what you have to bless you. So, and I think that I just included that because it's maybe one of the best ways that I can sort of express the level of purpose that our teachers feel and engage their work with. And I actually have this set as my desktop screen, my wallpaper, just because I never want to forget what I felt when I was in Zambia. It was very, very much a life-changing experience. Next slide, please. Now, this is Blessings. This is the young lady that I sponsor. And I cannot express how transformative it was for me to meet her and to spend a little bit of time with her. Now, you can see here's a little drawing that I did. I'm an art teacher. That's what I do. But when I met Blessings, it was kind of a surprise. I didn't know that that was Blessings. And when I saw her and I said, "Hi, Blessings, I'm your sponsor." Like, we both just hugged, and she was just so grateful. She's such a lovely young lady. She wants to be a nurse. And while I was there, I was noticing that, a lot of the professions that people have access to, those are salaried positions that come from tax revenue. And if you think about 90% unemployment, it's not guaranteed that there's going to be a job. I'm going to sponsor her for her nursing degree, no matter what. If that's her dream, I'm going to support it. But I also decided that I'm going to make sure that she has a backup plan. So she is going to go to the trade school and become a seamstress, because there is just like a very active entrepreneurial spirit in Zambia. So even if there's not paid government jobs available, people are really industrious and they want to work. So I am committed to helping Blessings as much as I can. And I just know, like everybody else I met, that Blessings will continue to be a blessing for the people in her life. And I'm very, very honored to be able to facilitate some of this for her. And I know that if I've ever done anything I could really say I did a good thing, it's helping Zambia Scholarship Fund. And I would just encourage anybody who really wants to make a difference to support Zambia Scholarship Fund's efforts. Thank you. So that's all from me.
Hi, I hope everyone can hear me. I'm having some connection problems here. I've been going back and forth between my laptop and my phone. So my name is Aaron Ngambi, and I am from Zambia. Great country, good people, just like everybody has alluded to and witnessed to. Now, I want to just quickly introduce myself and then tell you guys about my story with the Zambia Scholarship Fund. So I was on a church mission in Zimbabwe, and my companion was from Kaysville, Utah. And so this was towards the end of my mission, about I think 6 months before I finished. And my companion was asking me about what I plan to do when I go home. And those who've been to Zambia, the volunteers we've listened to, will tell you that it's a very not so hopeful situation for young people. I mean, people have all sorts of dreams and want to do things, but opportunities are not there. So as we were talking about that, my companion says, I think you need to reach out to this woman that my father knows. And I said, what's the name of this person? And so he introduced me to Peggy Rogers. Just gave me the name and said, I'll get you the email address. So he did get me the email address, and I emailed Peggy as soon as I finished my mission and learned about the Zambia Scholarship Fund. This was 2008, I believe. And then after that, there were some volunteers that came from the US, for the Zambia Scholarship Fund. And I accompanied some of them, I think, in 2009. At that time, the Zambia Scholarship Fund was all over the country. It was not just in Kasama. And we went to a few schools on the Copperbelt province, and just to see the work that the Zambia Scholarship Fund was doing, helping students, high school students, get an education, and also went to some teachers training colleges. So since then, I've been involved with the Zambia Scholarship Fund in one way or the other. Now, my trip to Kasama with you guys was actually my first trip to Kasama. I'd never been to Kasama. So exciting for me as you guys. And so When we got there, unfortunately, I didn't have too many days, so I stayed just 2 days in Kasama. I didn't get to meet any of the kids that are on this scholarship fund or any of the teachers and volunteers, not all of them, just about 2. But my job there was to go and see and inspect the buildings and the schools the Zambia Scholarship Fund is putting up. Because currently I'm on the board and also just in charge of construction and schools and building schools and stuff. And everywhere I go, the teachers we met, the head teachers that we met at the schools, all of them were so grateful for the work and the job that Zambia Scholarship Fund does. And this is all possible because of all of you guys, volunteers and people that in one way or the other help out with the Zambia Scholarship Fund. So I can't thank you enough on behalf of the Zambian people. And I can't thank enough the team that went with me to Kasama. It was fun. We spent those 1.5 days together. But also I wanted to mention that when I came back from Kasama to Lusaka, I met up with someone that I've known as a mentor. He's been in Zambian government for over 50 years, an old guy. And I don't know for some reason why I've never had a conversation with him about the Zambia Scholarship Fund. So he was once the Zambian ambassador to the United Nations. He was once Zambian ambassador to the Soviet Union before it became Russia. So he's an old guy. He's in his 80s. And he's now currently very close to the new president of Zambia. So when I told him that I'd been to Kasama for the first time and why I went there, he was very intrigued. He said to me, "How come you never mentioned about Peggy Rogers to me and the Zambia Scholarship Fund?" And I said to him, "Well, maybe it's because I thought that maybe you've heard about this or maybe I've mentioned in the past." And of course, I was explaining to him about also the number of teachers that the Zambia Scholarship Fund has currently helping out, sponsoring them. And he says to me, "I need to get Peggy Rogers', can you give me a write-up of Peggy Rogers and the Zambia Scholarship Fund? And I'm taking this to the president because the Zambia Scholarship Fund and the people behind this have to be honored by the Zambian government. This is so much work." And this was interesting because after that trip, I think just a few weeks when I got back, that's when there was the handover, actually a few days, that's when there was the handover of all the buildings and the schools that we have done this year. And this was also on the news, the main news in the country. So the Zambia Scholarship Fund, I think I got a clip of that. So this is how profound the work is that all of you guys are involved in. It's a lot of work, and all thanks to you volunteers, Peggy, and everyone that is behind this. And I'm here to help Zambia Scholarship Fund in any way that I can, and I'm not going anywhere. And that's my presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, hello. I feel like I don't need to introduce myself. People have talked about me so much. I am so grateful to have this opportunity to chat today. These first 2 pictures are up here just to point out what we really do this for. It is for the youth, for the upcoming generation, for the children here in Zambia. This is who is going to take over. These are going to be the world leaders. Africa is an amazing continent where we have incredible growth, and they've really been able to establish themselves with their independence out of the 60s and 70s and just continual growth. And this is the generation that's really going to come to fruition of all of that. The kids are wonderful, as they always are. As been mentioned, I am a teacher. I teach lots of grades. I've taught grades from preschool through university at various times in my career. I have a lot of different credentials. So it is really a joy to be able to experience the happiness and the innocence of these young children. They just want to play. They're curious. They're learning. And Peggy has really done such a beautiful thing in establishing this fund to catch them when they still have such a deep desire to learn. We can go to the next slide, please. One of the things I want to focus a little bit more about rather than focusing on what I've done or what's gone on, is really what the fund is doing. In these two pictures, it's been, Audrey mentioned a little bit, but in these two pictures, we're seeing how we're working with local governments. So we have on the side here a local, kind of what we would consider a district representative in the States. So more like a small region of schools. And on the right there, we're at a school opening. So that's a brand new school, and we have kind of a state, basically the Minister of Education for the Northern Province where Kasama is. And we met with him in his office. I have his business card. We're in contact. And the fund has really grown to a point where we are integrated with very influential and important people in Zambia in education. So the fund is not just a drop in the bucket or just a meaningless organization, but from where Peggy started and now, she has really done phenomenal work to continue to make contacts. Our board in Zambia, our president there is Tobias. He's a wonderful human, and he has just worked tirelessly over the years, worked with various volunteers to connect these people. I've had the opportunity to go multiple times to Zambia. And it's been fun because I know these people, and so I see them from year to year. One of the best things is the news, as was mentioned, it comes to these. And one of the reporters for the radio station, she recorded me dancing at one of them because I got like some pretty good hips, to be honest. So I got on the news for that because, white man dancing. And so she shared her number with me to send me the pictures and video she took. And then a year later, I went back and I saw her again. So we have a connection to the reporters and things. And so I wanted to point out that when you're supporting this fund, this money isn't just going randomly and this isn't haphazard. There is a lot of organization, and we do have really strong contacts with government officials, with the media, with the news organizations. And that's something that I treasure about this, knowing that we do have a system in place to continue to help and to work out. So I've always been impressed year after year who we're able to meet with and how welcoming they are. And they give us a lot of data, and we've been able to support them, I think, in professional ways and collaborate as well. So that's been an incredible journey. We can go to the next slide. One of the credentials that I hold, I teach general education. I teach a lot of subjects in math and science, generally is my main area, but I also teach special education. And the first time I went to Zambia, we stopped at this school, which is Chileshi Chapela, which is a special needs school. They have a primary or elementary side, and they also have a high school campus next to it. I didn't put a picture of the high school campus, but nonetheless, they're there. I am so touched in Zambia about their inclusion practices, that they have this school. It is not for rejects. They are loved. They are treated well. They are educated with the same or similar practices that we use here in the States. They have a program for deaf students, for intellectually impaired and emotionally troubled students. They're taking them all, as well as you can see, of course, physically disabled. Over on the right, this young man, I say young, he's an adult, but he's young compared to me. He was a student at Chileshi Chapela with his physical disabilities, but he is now a teacher there. We funded him as a student, and then we funded him in college to become a teacher, and now he is a teacher at the special needs school. This incredible circle that we have, where we support students and then we support teachers, we support people to become teachers, and we support people to be teachers. It really closes this loop of education, that we're not just having children get to high school or graduate high school and then they're out. We have frameworks to help them continue. These two boys in the middle, I just wanted to point out because they actually remember me from year to year. They are both deaf. My ASL is not good, though I do teach special education. I work mainly with autistic or behaviorally violent children. I don't have a lot of connections with the deaf and blind, though I do have good colleagues that work at the Utah Schools for Deaf and Blind. But they're always really excited in my limited ASL, and we will communicate. So they were really excited to see me. So we took a picture. We can go to the next slide. Thank you. On that note about what we are doing, when we were there, we had the opportunity here on the left to attend at the Teachers College, which is one of my faves because I'm a teacher and I've done adjunct work in education, so it's incredible. They had an intercollegiate arts festival and competition. So this is a picture of the visual arts. They also had dancing, they had drama, they had some poetry, they had music, and colleges from all over the region were bussed in, and they spent a week performing, and their professors were judging them. We can see over on the blackboard, this is a high school course, but it's a music, you can see music theory there. And this is the sort of education that's happening. Kate already talked about the science and the STEM that's going on, but we also have the arts that's really vibrant in this area. So, excuse me, they are really establishing a large realm of education and touching all of the areas of learning. Down in the corner, this is the nursing school. We support students at 2 different nursing schools that offer different programs, including surgical nursing, midwifery, and clinical nursing, and also rural nursing, where they're kind of like the only medical service out in rural areas. So they choose one of those 4 specialties. So this is one of the classrooms. I have a lot more pictures, of course, but I didn't want to inundate you with too much. These students and their program, I went to nursing school for a time before I switched careers to become a teacher. So I am familiar with what modern day and like first world practices are in medicine, and they are doing a fantastic job with the resources that they have, but their practices and their textbooks are quality. They have good instruction. In fact, I went through the library at the nurses school, and they have the same textbooks that I used when I was in nursing college 20 years ago. So a fun fact, not the same version, actually, it is updated, but the same textbook, same authors. So I wanted to point out that we are providing a quality education to these students. The money is not going to just nothing. They are becoming scientists, artists, nurses, a variety of really worthwhile careers. We can go to the next slide, please. And that leads us really to the culmination. This is a graduation. I had the opportunity when I was there. It just happened to be that the graduation of the Teachers College was occurring. And these are teachers who are graduating, whom we funded. They were sponsored by us to become teachers. I met each of them, and some of them are going into elementary education. Some of them are going into physical education. One is teaching math. One is teaching home economics. And I think 2 are home economics. 3 are primary school, and then one is teaching whatever I just said. I just got lost in my own speech, but. I was very honored to be invited to their graduation. They asked me to go and to see their hard work pay off and see their culmination. And many of them already were set up to have a job. And then some other ones we were able later to support and join in as we sponsored them as teachers. I want to pull up where Heather, and I'll close with this, where Heather mentioned that we sponsor some teachers who do not have who aren't able to get a job with the government. And she mentioned Friday. Friday and I have become really best friends. We text probably 2 or 3 times a week. We have pictures. He's on my wall. We are really good friends. It was a really interesting connection, but he has worked for free at his primary school. He teaches early childhood education. So preschool and kindergarten, maybe first grade, but he teaches the youngers. And he has worked for free for the past 3 years. And we only have a certain number of teachers we can provide, but we recently were able to, there was an opening, someone had got hired by the government, we were able to sponsor him. So it was a touching moment, but we pay about 50% of what they would normally get from the government. And we do provide some insurance, and we do pay into their Social Security to help them on their way. And it builds their resume strongly, because being accepted by Zambia Scholarship Fund is a big benefit on their resume when they're applying to be accepted into a mainstream employment as a teacher, because we are a respected educational charity in the region. And so they say, well, if the ZSF wanted you and kept you on, then we feel like we can adopt you as well. The unfortunate thing is there are enough teachers. As you can see, we are graduating. Zambia is graduating plenty of credentialed licensed teachers, and they have the need. They have buildings, they have students, they have classrooms, but they're just not funding all of that. So the teachers are just working for free, hoping that the government will pick them to get hired on. So we're doing a major service to these individuals. I can't imagine the amount of working for free. The teaching is a very personal and a very emotionally taxing career. And it's inspiring that they really do go above and beyond and say, I'm going to make sure that my country, the youth of Zambia are going to receive an education. And, I believe that I will be paid back in the future. So these graduates to me are such a representation of what we end up doing and sending people off. There was another picture, but I think it got lost somewhere. We also support a trade school where people are learning electricity, they're learning business acumen, they're learning farming and agriculture, and a variety of trades that also help them get into the workforce very quickly. So I'm very, very pleased, and I'm very honored to have been a part of this, and to expand my world and the connections I've made. So thank you very much to this organization, and thank you to all of you for also being sponsors. I have sponsored for quite a few years, and now I've been going to Zambia personally, but it really is, I just go really to, we're sponsors. We're not really important in the sense that we go and we meet and we extend all of the love and support that you are providing, and we check in and get their stories. But really the bedrock and the background of this entire organization are all of you who are watching, all of you who are donating. And I just have the utmost respect for all of my fellow sponsors, because it is about paying it forward, and it is about recognizing that we have something that they don't, and recognizing that privilege and building the world up. The world is sometimes not a kind place. And I think with each donation we give each month, we help the world be slightly better. And so that is a very inspirational thing for me, and one of the reasons that keeps me here. So thank you for this time, and I will pass my time back to Peggy, who will have a few more words to say. So thank you so much.
Oh gosh, Edward, when you mentioned how hard it is for a teacher to teach and how much it takes out of you, and that these people are teaching as volunteers and not even getting paid, my final words are, just please don't look at me as anything but just a simple, ordinary person who had an opportunity to help others, and I took it. And my life has been blessed more by much more than what I've given. And my real heroes are the heroes over in Zambia, who are teaching out there in a hut with a latrine that's, what I'm saying? Not many of us would go out there and teach those kids under those conditions, and especially not get paid. So my heroes are my dear Zambian friends and teachers. And I'm just going to say thank you all for joining us. I hope it's touched your heart, and I hope the Zambians will touch your heart. And thank you for your time.